Hello folks, this is Alistair Post Quinn from Falling Blocks Designs. You can find me online at double-knitting.com. These are some quick troubleshooting tips for double knitting. The first thing that I'd like to show is actually a mistake that can't easily be fixed. But it's worth knowing about so that you can keep an eye out for the future. And that is the twist. If you've done some double knitting before, you'll know that at the beginning of every row, you have to do a linked pair, which has you twist the yarns around each other between the knit and the purl, which gives you a link between your edge pairs or between your edge stitches without a color change. Now, that linked pair can be done elsewhere. It can be done in the work itself, or something very much like it can be done elsewhere in the work. What that will do is it will link the fabric together, again, without a color change, but it will also give you a sort of color artifact. So normally what you should have between your stitches is a bar, just like you would in any single layer piece. But while that bar doesn't actually get removed, it can get obscured by a little bit of the other color getting wrapped around it, which is what happens when you do that twist. So you twist the two yarns around each other, and you end up with a functional link between the two layers, but also a little blip of the other color visible in between two of your stitches. And I've done another one over here. One of these is in between the knit and the purl, and the other is done between the purl and the knit, just to show the difference in the way they look, but they're still giving you this little blip of the other color. They may be more visible on one layer than the other. As a matter of fact, on this layer it's very visible, at least in this case. So you can see the other color wrapping around. The next thing that I want to show you is something you actually can fix, and that's the bar. A bar happens when you don't bring both yarns together to the front or to the back. And this bar was actually created on the back of the work because this is in the flat, and so the last row that I did was facing like this, which means that the bar was created in a place where I can't see it. That's usually what happens, is that the bar is created in a place where you can't see it, and because you can't see it, you don't notice it until you get back around to it. If you're doing double knitting in the round, you may never see it if you don't check your work every now and then. But flat, at least, when you're on your way back, you'll tend to see this bar, this horizontal bit that covers over a knit. Now, this horizontal bit is supposed to be there. I actually mentioned that we have bars from stitch to stitch already. Those bars, of course, happen on this layer as well. But when that bar ends up wrapped around a stitch at the front of the work or on the other layer of the work, it's not supposed to be there. It's really just supposed to be on the other side of this stitch. So what we're going to do to fix that is, just to expedite this a little bit, I'm going to slip up to it rather than working up to it, because you don't actually need to use any yarn to do this. You just need to get to the point where the bar is. And then you reach underneath the bar, you grab the stitch that it's going over the top of, that it shouldn't be, and you sort of give it a tug to pull it underneath the bar. And then you let the part that's on the needle drop off the needle, and the stitch follows and comes to the front. So the bar is now at the back where it's supposed to be. The next one that I want to show you is a mistaken color change. You'll notice that there are no color changes in this little swatch. It's all AB pairs on one layer and all BA pairs on the other layer. But there is one extra color change right here, where I went from AB to BA, or really I went from BA to AB because it was done on the other layer initially. So what I want to show you is how to switch this from BA to AB. Now, of course, you can do it in the opposite direction if need be. You simply can't do it if it's an AA pair or a BB pair. If you are seeing a pair where both stitches are the same color, you have too much of that color and not enough of the other color to properly fix that. So really, to fix that, The only thing you can do is go back through the row, undo that pair, and redo it correctly. But if you have an AB pair that's supposed to be a BA pair or vice versa, it's easy to fix. So what I'm going to do is separate the two stitches of that one pair, which are now one on the right hand needle and one on the left hand needle. And then I'm going to take the left needle and I'm going to go underneath the left leg of the stitch on the right hand needle. Sorry, of the stitch one below the stitch on the right hand needle. So holding that on my left hand needle, I'm going to drop the one that's on my right hand needle, and then I'm going to pass the one that's held on my left over to the right. So that leaves me one loose floppy loop in the middle. Then I'm going to flip my work upside down a little bit, and I'm going to go into the corresponding loop on the left needle with my right needle. Grab that, drop the loop off my left needle, and then put this one that I was holding on my right back on the left. So I now have two loose loops on the needle, or between the needles rather. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach underneath the front one, the one that was being used here, and I'm going to grab the back one and bring it to the front like this. Note that it is seated forwards on the needle when you do this, so make sure it is seated forwards on the needle. And then you're going to grab the remaining loop with the left hand needle. Note that the loop and its predecessor, already held on the needle, now match colors. And all I need to do at this point is pass the slip stitch over and off, and the same thing on the other side. And there's the pair again, now flipped from BA to AB. This has been Alistair Postquin for Falling Blocks Designs.